Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ida and today I'm going to talk about the books that I read in the month of February. So there's still 2 days left, so I might even end up reading a few more books, but I'll get to them by the end. I have a lot this month. Unfortunately, not a lot of really great books. I feel like this was mostly a 3-star reading month, but I'll just start from the beginning. So I actually don't have a lot of the physical copies of these books because some of them were on my Kindle and some I've already lent out to other people now. But the very first book I read was Passenger Princess by Elizabeth Morgan. I think I've read other books by this author before, but this was on sale in the beginning of the month, so that's why I wanted to start out with that. It's a romance about a woman who wins a beauty pageant, and now she has to travel around the US to meet people and to create awareness on the things that she cares about, which is small businesses. And she gets a bodyguard because there are some people who are kind of stalking her. And then of course they end up falling for each other. It wasn't my favorite romance book. I think this was also like a 3-star read maybe. I wasn't completely on board with the main character. She was nice, but she was not really my style, I guess. And the kind of dynamic they had wasn't really my style. But it was a great book to start the month of love with, I guess. The next book I read was We Do Not Part by Kang, and I've read a few of her other books. She is a Korean Nobel Prize winning author, and I bought this one when I was in Korea, I think 2 years ago, and I've just been waiting for the perfect time. I felt like this was a winter book because of the trees here and the silhouettes of the trees, and I feel like I definitely read it at the right time. It's a really short one, as you can see, but it's written really beautifully, and it's really hard to describe what it's about. It's about a woman who is contacted by an old friend because she has gotten hurt and she's in the hospital. And she asked our main character to go to her home to look after her bird, which she's afraid will pass away unless someone goes and checks on it. So it's about our main character's journey to her home, which is Jeju Island, an island that's south of mainland South Korea. It's about her having all these dreams and visualizations, and you don't really know what is a dream, what is reality, but it has a big focus on a historical event that happened on Jeju Island. I'm not going to say too much about that, but it's really heartbreaking at points, and I just thought it was really beautifully written. It is my favorite that she's written. She's also the author behind The Vegetarian and Human X, and I think Human X might be my favorite. It's a tough read as well, but she just has a way with words, and I think there's a reason why she is such a popular Korean author. Then I read The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas, and this is a thriller about a girl whose older sister committed suicide. Well, that's what people think she did, and our main character is not so sure. Her older sister used to be a cheerleader, and a couple of years back she passed away, and a lot of girls in this cheerleading squad, they also died under mysterious circumstances. So our main character, she wants to get to the bottom of this, and she needs to get help from both people that her sister knew, but also other people who might know other details about these girls' lives. I thought it was really good. I kind of just needed a thriller. I think because We Do Not Part was such a quiet and slow book, I just kind of needed a book that would make me want to read a lot. And normally when I have that urge, I either pick up a romance book or I pick up a thriller. So that's kind of why I picked this one up, and it was also on sale on Kindle. Then I'm just like all the other girls. It's Heated Rivalry season. Of course, I had to pick up the books. Don't at me. I had to. I adore the TV show. I think it's amazing. I will say the first 2 episodes, I wasn't completely on board, but that's just because I'm a slow burn kind of girly. So I needed, the slow burn and not the hitting it straight on. So I really enjoyed, especially the 3rd episode. So Kip and Scott's story, very dear to my heart. And then from episode 4 and onwards, I also fell for Shane and Ilya. So I just had to read the books. I don't think there's too much to say about them. Right now, I am lending them out to another friend because, everyone's obsessed with them at the moment, which is amazing, especially after what happened with the US male hockey team. We do not support that. So the first book in the series is Game Changer, which is the one about Scott and Kip. And again, I feel do I even have to say anything? People have probably read them. All of these books are gay hockey romance books. And they're just definitely smutty, but they're also just really cute and very easy reads. They're kind of like popcorn reads. So you just sit down and you just read from beginning to the end. The language is very easy to get through. The pace of the books is really quick. So yeah, the first book follows Scott and Kip, and Scott is the, oh my god, this is where my lack of knowledge for hockey really comes into play. I'm gonna put it on the screen. There's no way I'm gonna figure out what the word is for that. Team captain? Might be team captain. Okay, whatever. He plays hockey, gets a smoothie from this guy at a smoothie store. And after he gets that smoothie, he starts to score goals again. He's been through like a rough patch in his hockey career and he hasn't been playing his best. But then after he gets that smoothie, things start to look up. So now he just comes back every single time because he's like, maybe it's the smoothie that's making me play better and I just have to perfect my routine. And then he ends up falling in love with this guy who is making his smoothies. And it's just like a really, really cute book. I actually think I prefer the TV show, which is so unlike me to say, but like especially episode 3 again, so good. I feel like I had more of a connection to the characters actually in the show than I had in the book. Then after that, of course, I read Heated Rivalry, which is the second book, and that's the one that follows Ilya and Shane's story, which is like the main story in the TV show as well. And I was really impressed by how similar the book and the TV show are to each other. Like it was almost chapter for chapter the exact same thing, and like the things they say in the book are the exact same lines they have in the show, because the first book, Game Changer, had a lot of kind of like free play with that, so like not a lot of the actual quotes from the books were in the TV show, and I actually preferred the ones that were in the TV show. But for Shane and Ilya's story, it's just completely like from the book to the show, and I think it captures that so well. And so much happens in this book. Like they are rivals, but they can't deny that they have attraction to each other, and they just have this hidden relationship for 10 years, and they just get like closer and closer throughout the book. And although there's a lot of sex in the TV show, there's also a lot of sex in the book, but like you just get this deeper layer to them, which I really enjoyed. I will definitely say that after they started to get a little more soft with each other, that's when I really started to be captivated by their story. And then I just finished Tough Guy, also by Reid. And Tough Guy is, funnily enough, maybe like the softest out of the books. Like I feel like it could be called Soft Boy, to be honest, because it's about, I'm completely blanking on his name. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. It's our main character. But like he is kind of the guy who like fights on the team. So if anyone is threatening some of his teammates, or if they are like looking for a fight, they're basically gonna end up fighting him. But he's really shy actually, and he has a lot of anxiety, and he just feels like he can kind of be himself when he's fighting. Like he's not thinking about anything, he's not overthinking. But he is also gay, and it's not like really a secret, but he's just like very private and just a little anxious, shy. And he ends up falling for this guy called Fabian, who's a lot more like outspoken, is a musician, and he's really in tune with who he is, and he has a really like special style, and it just really draws our main character in because he thinks it's so inspiring to see someone who just lives fully like himself. It's just a really cute book. I actually think that's my favorite out of the 3 that I've read so far. I'm assuming that maybe we'll get their story in the next season of Heated Rivalry. Then I read volume 5 and volume 6 of the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon by Beth Brower. I started this series last month, and this month I managed to read 2 of them. It's mostly because I'm just savoring them. I don't want to finish. I still have book 7 and 8 to go, but I'm gonna read those in March. But yeah, we're just still following Emma. If you saw my last video, you know how much I love these books. They just really make me laugh out loud. Afterwards, you just have such a warm and fuzzy feeling inside. I absolutely adore these books. These 2 were a little more serious than the first ones in the series, but I really enjoyed them because I love that we get to know more about some of the characters that are surrounding Emma, and we also get to know more about her past. So I would say they're more serious, but absolutely worth it, and I can't wait to continue with this series. They are like my only 5-star reads actually for this month. So if you're gonna take anything away from this video, let it be that these books are amazing. Then I read 2 mangas, which is not something that I read that much, but I have a friend who had recommended these to me, and I think this is her favorite manga. I don't have the first 2 volumes that I read, but I do have number 3 and 4 right here. They look like this. It's called Land of the Lustrous, and it's about these gemstones on a planet, and it's in the future. So it's like this futuristic dystopian world. We have our different kind of gemstones and crystals who live on this planet, and they have to defend themselves against other foreign beings who are trying to steal them to make them like into gemstones that we also use, you know, for like decorations. So they have to defend their planet and themselves from that. And then they all have like different personalities and different skills, all depending on what kind of gemstone they are, like how hard their shell is and like how sturdy the material is. And we follow our main gemstone, who is very young in comparison to the rest of them, and she's trying to figure out what is her place in this ecosystem on the planet and who she's meant to be and how she's supposed to help them, because she's a little clueless and she's just really fun to follow. She's very likable. She means well, but she makes a lot of mistakes, but in like an endearing way. It's a lot about like philosophy and what's the meaning of life, why we're here, what are like the most important things to us, these kind of things. So it really makes you think at the same time. And the final two books I have is, one was an audiobook, and that was You Want to Be on Top by Sarah Hartshorne. She was a competitor in America's Next Top Model on, I don't remember what cycle she was on, but she's written a memoir about her time on the show and like live afterwards. The reason why I picked it up was because I've just watched the Netflix documentary about America's Next Top Model, and I was just really curious to hear more about like the behind the scenes stories from the show, because it was an insane time. And I am so glad that I didn't really watch it religiously back then. I do remember watching it, and I do remember there were like some really things happening, but I had no idea it was that bad. It's a short one, so I highly recommend it if you grew up during the America's Next Top Model years. I think it would be an entertaining read for you. And then I read The Possession of Alba Díaz by Isabel Cañas. I hope that's pronounced correctly. I've been wanting to read this author's books before, but I finally saw this one on sale on Kindle, so that's why I got it. And it's about Alba Díaz, who is possessed, basically. She has to flee the city because there's a plague that's been going around. So her and her parents and her fiance and his parents, they flee to his family's mines that's like out on the countryside. Here she meets her soon-to-be husband's cousin, and sparks start to fly. It's called Sleepwalking, and she wakes up finding her feet dirty, even though she locks the door when she goes to bed. So she knows something is happening, but she doesn't remember anything. And one day this guy discovers it, and they discover that she is possessed, and he wants to help get rid of the demon. This book was really atmospheric, and I loved the descriptions of the countryside and the nature around them, and like just the entire mood and atmosphere of the story was explained in a very vivid way. I will say that I was a little bored throughout this book, which is crazy to say when it's about a demon possession. But like there were just some parts that I found a little too long and I wasn't that invested in. I would say maybe the final 20% is where things really start happening. The first 30 were really, really slow. So I might pick up more books by this author, because I've also seen a few people say this is their least favorite out of the 3 books she has published so far. So maybe I need to read one of the others, but this one was unfortunately a bit of a letdown. I do love the cover though. I think it's stunning. And then there's still 2 days left of February, so who knows if I'll manage to read a few other books. I think if I will be reading more, then it's probably either gonna be Land of the Lustrous Volume 3 and 4, or it's gonna be Common Gold. We'll see. Like, as I said, these books are such quick reads, so I might be able to finish it in 2 days. This is the 4th book in the Heated Rivalry series. That was all the books that I read in February. I'm a little surprised that I managed to read this many, because February is a little shorter, of course, than the rest of the months. But as I said, unfortunately, it wasn't as good a reading month as January was, with a bunch of 5-star reads. But I am hopeful for March, because there's so many books coming out that I'm really excited about. And I have a lot of books on hold from my library that I can't wait to get started. I'll be back next month, hopefully with a bunch of 5-star reads. I would love to know what your favorite book of February was, or if you've read any of the books that I talked about today. Also, if you watched Heated Rivalry, please tell me your thoughts, especially if they're positive, please. But yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!